Right, so we're going to start the little T-Splines tutorial. So if you click over here on T-Splines, I'm just going to create a box. It doesn't matter the size, just to show you like the basic, the way T-Splines works. I'm going to click on Edit Mode, and by default it selects the entire object, entire box in this case. Right. I'm also going to make sure I have Gumball turned on. Alright, so I can obviously move the entire box, but I could also move parts of that object. So for example, if I can just select a single face, I can then move just that single face. Or if I hold down Shift, I can select multiple faces and move those or rotate them. I could also select single edges. So I can select, for example, I can select this edge and adjust it. Or if I double click on any edge, it wraps around and it selects all the adjoining edges. So I could then scale those or rotate those however I want. And I can start to adjust that. I could also adjust or select single points. And it kind of, what it's doing is it's giving me the cage that's around this object. So it's almost similar to selecting, in this case, selecting multiple faces, or I can again just select a single point. So one thing you might notice at some point, you'll notice how your gumball is in you might have two arrows. So one of them, you essentially have two gumballs. You have the Rhino version, so you turn that off. That's also running at the same time as the version that is the default version in T-Splines. Alright, so you have multiple ways of adjusting this object. And whenever you're finished with the command, just hit escape a couple times, 3 times, and it gets rid of those features, and now you're just back to just a regular T-Splines object. Which if you select it, you can see over here that it's a T-Spline surface. Alright, so that's just the basics. I'm just going to delete this. Show you one modify command. But in order to do that, I'm going to make another box. This time, instead of the default 2 face by 2 by 2, I'm going to do, let's do 5 and 5. X5, Y5, and Z is 2, I believe. Yeah. So it gives us a few extra faces. What I want to do is I just want to copy this. Oops. I'm just going to copy that object. Whenever you're using a T-Spline object, all your other Rhino object or commands still work. So I want to connect these two objects. And essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to just use the same command over and over again. It's called the bridge command. It's a way of connecting separate T-Spline objects. So I'm going to select bridge. By default, the selection mode is faces, so I can connect faces, which is perfect. That's exactly what I want to do. Say, for example, I can connect that face to that face. And one thing to be careful about, one thing to watch for, is it's going to connect both of these objects. So if I hit enter, it connected them. I'm going to do it again here and here. So the one thing you want to be careful about is that the arrow is in the same orientation on both faces. So like the arrow starts here and it goes in this direction. And if I look at this arrow, it starts here and goes off in this direction. If it flips the other way, it's going to twist the way these objects join. So just be careful about that. I'm going to reorientate those. Hit enter. I'll do the same thing on this side. I'm just hitting the space bar just to repeat the same command. And it connects those. And again, it's just a way of connecting T-spline objects. And then at this point, I could also just go back and re-edit the T-spline object. I can select all these faces. Adjust them. If I wanted to, I can also start to tweak the way this looks. Just using the scale command. So the nice thing about using T-splines, it's like modeling with clay. That's a really nice way of starting to conceptualize some more advanced ways of designing. So that's just a very basic intro into some of the T-spline commands.